Every age of the world is defined by a single, elemental conflict. Not between clans, but between the forces that shape the land itself. For Homo, the fragile inheritor, that conflict was forged in the collision of ash and frost. Ash was the beginning, the dust of the great rift, the parched soil beneath the merciless gaze of the scorched sun. This was the fire, the cradle of life, yet also the crucible that demanded perfection. Here the first humans were taught a fearful lesson. To be bold was to be devoured. To survive was to be silent. Their strength lay not in muscle, but in the flicker of thought, in the shared knowledge of a deep, dark cave. But the world turned. The sun weakened its hold, and the relentless creep of the frost began its long, eternal winter. To endure the ice, the sons and daughters of the sun had to abandon the familiar, to push into lands ruled by behemoths and rival kin forged in pure cold. This is the saga of that march, the chronicle of how humanity, a creature born to hide, learned to fight, not for conquest, but for the simple, defiant right to draw breath under a hostile sky. To live, the children of Ash had to abandon their cradle and cross into realms where the cold birthed its own monsters, towering behemoths of fur and tusk, kin shaped by the glacier's iron will, tribes who never bent to heat, and thus would not bend to strangers. What followed was no conquest, no triumph sung by bards. It was a march, grim, stubborn, necessary. This is the tale of that march, of how a creature born to hide in shadows taught itself to stand, how hands built for clutching stone learned to wield it, not for empire, not for glory, but for the oldest, simplest right the heavens ever denied, the right to live beneath a sky that did not want them. The world began in the great rift, a scar torn deep into the earth, perpetually under the dominion of the scorched sun. This was the primordial fire, blinding in its intensity, a realm of abundant, ferocious life where every breath was paid for and risked. In this land of colossal beasts and quick, brutal deaths, humanity was not the apex predator, but a creature of opportunity. They were the Ashkin, named for the pale dust that clung to their skin, masking their scent, hiding their slight frames. They were small of tooth and claw, lacking the crushing jaw power of the hyena lords, the blinding speed of the spotted runners, or the impenetrable hide of the armored ones. The Ashkin had neither the muscle mass to overpower a zebra nor the long, prehensile tail of the forest dwellers to retreat high into the canopy. Their posture, absurdly upright, made them vulnerable and slow, drawing the constant, fatal curiosity of the true hunters. Survival was a desperate game of timing, a constant vigilance that stole their sleep and hollowed their eyes. To live was to steal. Their domain was the edge of the kill, the aftermath of a lion's feast, the scraps left behind when the hyena lords had moved on. They were masters of the hiding place, the deepest shadow of a ravine, the dense thorn bush, the protective gloom of a high cave mouth. Their greatest weapon, the seed of all future dominance, was simply their ability to spot a meal or a threat from afar, raised slightly above the tall savanna grass. Their minds, quick and focused, learned one profound lesson above all others: cooperation born of necessity. The strength of the Ashkin lay not in the arm of the bravest male, but in the shared memory of the elder, who knew which stagnant pool offered water without crocodiles, and the shared strike of the simplest, flake stone, the sharp edge, used to quickly strip the bone before the true owners of the kill returned. They were the scavengers, the watchers, the humble beggars of the rift.